Why do you think? What is the purpose of having the image of the Buddha, and what do we do? You see, there are different levels of practice. Different levels of practice. Well, there are, and we have also seen how some people actually going to the Buddha image and, use the joystick, and after that start talking to the Buddha and asking for various other things. Weird. That is one way of practice too. But when understanding Buddhists will not do that, what do good and understanding Buddhists do? What is that image for? Anybody? Are you all motivated by point system, or you want, if we tell you $10, then maybe you will, Yes? Why? Do we pray to the image of the Buddha? Do we? Do we pray? How many of you say yes? Hands up. 1, 2. Never mind, don't worry. How many of you say no, we don't pray to the image of the Buddha? Good. Others on the fence do not know what to do. Depends on what we mean, what you mean by the word prayer. We use the image of the Buddha to remind us of our master, our great teacher. And if you have a good look at the image of the Buddha, in all the images of the Buddha, you will find certain characteristic feature. What is the characteristic feature of the image of the Buddha? Peace. How do you know? Why do you say it reflects peace? In what way does it reflect peace? Have a good look behind at the image of the Buddha. When you look at the Buddha, does it arouse any of your gross emotion? Like wanting to fight? What does it do? Look again, carefully. What kind of feeling do you get when you look closely at the image of the Buddha? Don't look at me, look at the Buddha's image behind. What kind of feeling do you get? Observe. Yes. And from what? What are the things that have conditioned you to get this kind of feeling of calmness? Pardon? No, from the image. What are the characteristics in the image? Yes. Eyes. Some more? Go on. I'm sure you know now when you look at one another, if one another's eyes big, open, and mouth, How do you feel? I'm sure you have observed these things, one another at home and in your offices. Huh? Some people, their mouth a little bit singing a bit, and then, or their eyes, one, then they have certain expression, that's the body language. Now in this case, the Buddha, from the very features of the Buddha, you can see the eyes, well restrained. You can see the lips. It's not laughter, but it is the smile. It is the half smile of the Buddha. It is right. You see, what we see, whatever we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, these, through our senses, they will arouse feelings. So something that you see, if you see somebody in the morning, if you look and see your children's face very sour and sulky, how do you feel? And you go to office, you look at your colleagues, and a very sour face, long face. How do you feel? You have different feeling, isn't it? So your feelings are conditioned by what you see, by what you hear, by what you smell and taste. So that is why we need an object that can condition our mind to give rise to that calmness, the serenity, right? That's one object. In fact, the image of the Buddha, for those of you who study mathematics, the image of the Buddha is meant to represent perfect geometry. You know what perfect geometry is? Symmetry of rectangle, triangle, pyramid. And you find equidistant when you draw the triangle. That's why the Buddha sits in that position. And this image should represent perfect geometry, perfect harmony. Of course, those ancient artists, when they do it, they have certain measurements, particular measurements. Not simply do the image of the Buddha. In fact, during the time of the Buddha, there was no image. Even after, it was who were the ones who first really introduced the image of the Buddha? Do you know who introduced the image of the Buddha? Who? No? No? Some people around the area. Their neighbors. No? Remember, India. Take your mind back to about 2,000 years ago. India was conquered. Northern part of India was conquered and occupied by Alexander. Alexander came from Macedonia in Greece. And the Greeks at that time were worshipping who? Yes, they were worshipping various gods. And above all, the god of the sun, What is he called? Have you heard of Apollo? Apollo. Huh? The first Buddha image. Of course, this is from the archaeological records. There are some other records, a legendary record also, that says that during the time of the Buddha, this is found in some Chinese annals. Probably when they want to popularize the use of images, they say that there was an image during the time of the Buddha when the Buddha spent his rains retreat or vasa. He went up to Tawatingsa, heaven, to preach for 3 months. Preach to the mother Queen Mahamaya, who passed away 5 days after he was born. 7 days after he was born, the mother was reborn, took birth in Tusita heaven. So the Buddha went to Tawatingsa, and the mother came down from Tusita to Tawatingsa to listen to the sermon. After the 3 months, then the Buddha came back. So it is said that when the Buddha left to preach in the celestial realm, in the realm of the Tawatingsa, the realm of the 33 gods, then it is said that an image appeared in the likeness of the Buddha. And when the Buddha came back, this image able to approach. This is, but we have no records, no archaeological records of this image. So this is what we call the legendary aspect. It's a story, right? Aspect. But from the archaeological records, the remains which can be found today, the earliest sculpted image of the Buddha is said to have been done by the Greeks, carried out by the Greeks. And they carved the image of the Buddha in the likeness of Apollo, the god Apollo. That is why if you see the Gandhara, it is called the Gandhara style, the hair of the Buddha, they did not know how, because the Indians did not. They were afraid to sculpture or to represent the Buddha in any visual form. Why the Indians did not do it? Because they were afraid to do it. Because they knew the tradition that the Buddha had certain perfect features, 32 perfect marks on his body. So it was virtually impossible to try to represent these perfect marks on to any sculpture. So that is why the early Indians did not do it. However, the Greeks, they did not know this tradition well. So, the Greeks did not know this tradition. Either they did not know or they did not care for this tradition so much. And also, they were used to worshipping idols, heroes. So that is why they started to carve this image of the Buddha. And The first image that they carved looked like Apollo, the hair. They did not know what to do. They have heard that the Buddha had a little lump on the head. So what they did was, looks like a ribbon. They put a ribbon around, like a bun, hair bun there. You can see some of the earliest Gandhara image drawing. And it looks fairly Western. Then it is after the Greeks, after they have sculpted these images, then the Indians also followed suit. Earlier on, before, actually almost nearly 400 years, they did not have any images. And the things that represented as objects of veneration, the Buddha allowed them to use certain objects of veneration, like the Bodhi tree. Once when the Buddha was spending his reigns, spending the vas at Jetavana monastery, then Ananda, his faithful disciple, approached the Buddha and said that after the rains retreat, after the vasa, the Buddha will go out from place to place, and all the devotees and other disciples, how are they to remember him? Then the Buddha told Ananda, you can plant the Bodhi tree, and at that time all the great disciples of the Buddha were there. You know Moggallana. Moggallana is one of the chief disciples of the Buddha. Did you see him? Have you seen him in the shrine room? You know which one is Moggallana? Which one? The blue one, the darker one, right? That is Moggallana. The other one is Sariputta, right? So Moggallana was famous for his psychic power. It is said that Moggallana just stretched his hand and picked up the sapling from the original tree in Bodh Gaya, under which the Buddha sat when he attained his enlightenment. So that sapling was planted in Sravasti. And that sapling came to be known as Ananda Bodhi tree. Now, the Buddha had said that this tree, when you look at this tree, you can remember, you can recall my enlightenment, that I gained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. Understand? So, an understanding Buddhist will use that object. When they see that object, they will be reminded of the enlightenment of the Buddha, thereby gaining the kind of inspiration. How the Buddha overcome, how the Buddha was able to purify his mind from all stains of greed, hatred and delusion, and attain to the perfect state of mind. Then, if you look, then you can recall that incident. And then also, in India, they had already the tradition of worshipping footprints. They used to worship the footprints of holy men. And so, amongst the Buddhists too, since there was only, they did not have the image. Before they had the image, they had the footprint of the Buddha. And in Sri Lanka there is some place, very ancient city, they have discovered the place where they manufacture footprints of the Buddha. They make copies of them. So sometimes you see the footprint, you think, oh, real footprint. I remember my first trip to India, when a small boy says, this is the footprint of the Buddha. I look at it, says, very clear footprint, and then people start to throw money on the footprint. And when the people turn away, the small boy takes that money away. Anyway, it's a reproduction. Because one of the 32 features, perfect features of the Buddha, in his leg, flat, and has a, what you call, Dhammacakka symbol, the symbol of the wheel, the Dhammacakka. So, that is how people at that time, in the early times, they take that as objects of veneration. But after time went on, people started to introduce more and more things to remember the Buddha. And that's how they started to popularize images of the Buddha. So image of the Buddha, to an understanding Buddhist, that image is an object of veneration which serves to remind oneself, to remind individual of the master, of the great teacher. And thereby you can focus your mind there and think of the Buddha. Like those of you who have, you see an image also. When you see that image, the first thing you ask, when it gives you some sense of calm and peace, you will naturally ask the question, who is that? Or what is that? Little children will ask, what is that, Mama? And why is the ear that light like that? Why there is the dot on the head? So, that will give the occasion to pass on certain teaching. So there are different uses of it. So when you begin to see and understand, then you will realize that the image is an object for veneration, not to pray to. Many people carry forward the superstitious kind of practices which they had from other religions, and they introduced this to Buddhism also. I remember during all night, or what you call funeral services, we used to have image of the Buddha, and sometimes we take the image of the Buddha also. And then, so that the image of the Buddha can give a feeling of calmness and peace to the bereaved members of the family. But those people who believe in Shanism, many people call them Taoism, but actually they are not Taoism. They are those people who believe in shamanism, and this shamanism based on the spirit shamanism, not the pure shamanism. Because the real Taoism does not teach this sort of thing. There are no mediums in real Taoist practice. The Tao has been influenced other things. The ancient the old practice, the primitive practice, shamanistic practice of worshipping of spirits, spirit worship, have come into Tao. And that's what you have, the mediums and so on. So they are very particular about images and how the image must face this way and that way, and that you must open the eyes, otherwise they cannot see. And then also, when people die, you must close their eyes. You know that? They put red paper. Once, I remember, before I was a monk, I used to, in the temple, we have a lay group, chanting group. Next time you all should form here too, when there are not many monks. The lay people should get together, learn chanting as you come on Friday, every evening. And after you learn, then when there's some night visits, you can go as a group, and you can do some chanting there too. You should do that as a welfare service. And I remember, I used to bring the image of the Buddha, and I received comment by these people who believed in the Tao. They says, no, you should not put that image there. You see, all the other, and in some houses, funeral houses, where there are dead bodies there, all the other images, they close the face. And so those people who believe this have given instructions to close the Buddha's eyes also. When I went there, I says, no. And he says, open. If the other images, you can close the eyes, but not the Buddha. Buddha is not afraid of dead bodies. The image of the Buddha is important on such occasion, so that the members of the bereaved family, when they have sorrow, when you have any fear in your mind, when you look at the image, you get a kind of calmness, sereneness. So you see this kind of, there are various kinds of superstitious beliefs. Even today, among some of our members too, I have heard recently, they have gone to some houses, members' house, and says, you know, your Buddha should not be placed here. That Buddha should go to the temple. Instead, some other images can be placed, but not Buddha. Because now there are different groups, competing groups. Some want to introduce Kuan Yin image, some want to introduce Topekong. Yes, quite a few places. And so sometimes they frighten these people. So it is good that you ask this question. An image of the Buddha should represent as a reminder. But still many people, because of the past practices, they still have that fear. So they write to us and they ask us this question, can I clean the Buddha image? Why not? And some women say, when I have period, can I pray to the Buddha? Why not? Yes. These are all the superstitious practices from other isms that have cropped into it. You see? When you think, image of the Buddha is to sublimate our mind. The real Buddha is where? Not in the image, behind the image. Because the Buddha, many people, they look at the image and they, sometimes very beautiful image, and they admire image. Even during the time of the Buddha, there was one disciple of his. Because after the Buddha gained his enlightenment, the Buddha's features were so radiant, so good to look at. So this one disciple would go about, wherever the Buddha went, he would go around and just look at the Buddha and stare at the Buddha. Admire the features of the Buddha wherever the Buddha went. Until one day, Buddha told him, his name was Wakkali. Buddha said, "Oh Wakkali, if you want to see the real Buddha, you must see yo dhammang pasati so mang pasati." Buddha said, when you see the Dhamma, then you see me. This is how we can see the real Buddha. If you want to see the real Buddha, you see, practice the Dhamma, what the Buddha taught. Practice it. As you practice, you will realize. You can realize what the Buddha realized. Or you can realize more, little by little. That is how you can come closer to the Buddha. And truly see and truly know who the Buddha is by your practice. But there are many people. I have come across sometimes some temple elders also. Because they pray the image, they focus their mind again and again every day. Then their minds are so much conditioned there. What happens is, when they close their eyes, when they get into concentration, this image will appear in their mind. Understand? And after that, because they like to talk a lot, so they condition the Buddha also to talk. And then they say, Buddha is telling me like this, like this, like this, like that. I have heard. Some people say, I have seen Buddha. Buddha tell me like this, like this, like this, like this. Yes, they have seen images of the Buddha. Because I have met people. One day, one woman in Singapore, she asked to install an image in her house. She is doing business in Taiwan. And after installing the image of the Buddha, after 1 week, obviously the business flourished. She called me up and she says, Venerable, it is really wonderful. I see the Buddha every day. The Buddha smile at me. And then she asked me, please come. So she took me, I went to see the image. I saw the image was the same image. But she says, can you see the smile of the Buddha? I say, yes. And then she was happy. But after 1 year later, the business was not doing so well. Then she rang me up again and says, Venerable, can you please come to the house and do something, some blessing or something? The Buddha don't look so happy. I went and had a good look at the Buddha. Same features. But I did not tell her. Because what happened was, It was the state of mind, understand? When you are happy, when you are in good mood, everything you see is good. Even you see some ugly face, also you say beautiful. Surely. Even the food is not tasty, it's good to you. That is the nature of a good mind. When you are happy, when you are in good mood, that happiness, that joy condition your mind. Then there are, what about when you are sad, and you have a lot of problems? Whatever you look, your mind projects that image, you see. I remember when I was young, I was staring at some images, and I can see how the eyes open and close too. Even while talking to you, I could remember that occasion, you see. But now, I don't think it's the image that open and close. It's that my mind made it open and close. Because I wanted that image to be real, so that the image can answer my prayer. I was praying, to pass my examination. You see? So I want that image to be real, so that the image can really help me. Focus my mind, pray so much that you can see the eyes open. Oh, very good, sure. Listen. Sometimes there are certain phenomena that take place around the images. There's no doubt about it. Like some of you have heard some instance somewhere in Johor, quite some years back. It appeared in the newspaper also. The image of Kuan Yin shedding tears. Have you heard about that? Then you say, why? Reverend, you say we don't pray to image. How can the image shed tears? And also, there are some images of the Buddha. I remember some people come to the temple during the examination season, and then they say, you can try. If you can lift this Buddha, you can pass your exam. If you cannot lift, you cannot pass your exam. Did you come across that one? No. I came across that one. Of course, I did not lift it. No, that was before I became a monk, when I was in Form 3. I saw everybody doing that, but I said, no. No point. If I, lift it, if I cannot lift it, then, I get frightened. So I better, abstain from it, avoid. And now, sometimes, you see, when you focus your mind again and again, if you have an altar, you put an image there, and you focus your mind, that becomes a focal point every day. Your mind focuses there. You are what you call sending energy. You are charging that image, remember, and charging the atmosphere around. And that is why some of you who are a little bit more sensitive, you can experience the vibrations around your shrine room may be quite different from the vibrations in your bedroom and your toilet room. Quite different. Especially the place where you used to meditate and chant. You will have more harmony vibration. And you recite all those stanzas in Pali, ancient languages. And what do you do when you recite those? You recite the virtues of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Remember, even though you cannot understand it, even though your children don't like to recite it, you may be alone reciting there. Yet you may not be the only one present there. Because there may be other beings who also like, who have used to listening this sound. They come, they like to listen. They like to listen, they come. Who are these beings? Those beings who have a liking for virtues, for goodness, they will come. You know, when you are very angry and somebody comes by you and says, why are you like that? Why can't you be like, your brother? He is so good, he is so kind, he does not cry, he does not... Do you like to listen to him? You like to listen to such talk? When you are angry, do you like to hear? No. I think you try to run away, if you can. That is how. That's the power of this kind of recitals. All those hantus, they don't like to listen to good things. They are afraid to come near it. They run away. But all those people who like goodness, they will come. Now you see, why are you here? It is because of your love for Dhamma, because you have a liking for Dhamma, because you have some goodness in you. You like to listen to good things. There are many people who don't like to listen to good things. When they listen to good things, they think very boring. Better to watch it, what you call television program. But you sacrifice those programs every Friday to come because you want to learn, you want to practice, you want to clarify your mind, you want to know what Buddhism is about. And when you listen to some virtues, moral teachings, then you rejoice with it because you have already something in you. Either you know it, you are conscious of it, or unconsciously from the past conditionings. Understand? That brings you, that pushes you, and because also of your good friends, they condition you. Beings, they like to listen to those virtues, they come. Understand? And these beings, some of these earthbound devas, they can play those tricks. Sometimes not tricks, but they can, because they are happy, they can give you, increase your faith, increase your faith by certain sign, by certain phenomena like that happens with the image. Understand? And sometimes they may not be happy too if you don't behave yourself properly. So they may make you a bit frightened too. It's not the Buddha, but these are some agents, agents. Buddha has his agents also, After the passing away of Buddha, many agencies came to being. They all to promote the Buddha, like the supporters. That's what we call them. Chinese usually call them the Dharma protectors. Remember when you go into the temple, in some Chinese temple, you see big, fierce-looking features to scare away all the hantus and all that, because they protect the temple, protect Dharma. They are called Dharma protectors. So these Dharma protectors and other earthbound devas, they can do this job. To give faith, to lead someone, give them some encouragement, practice, right? And many people now have a lot of, some people get ideas, all kinds of ideas, and they get into last week you remember, one brother asked about trance. They get into trance, and then they say, oh, so and so come now. Huh? And how is it? One medium says, so and so has come now. But on the feast days, there are hundreds and thousands celebrating. And they are all speaking very often not the same things. You think they are all the same mediums communicating? This is where people, what they think in their mind when they pray to somebody so much, when they get into certain states of concentration, but not with awareness. They begin to have the view that they are so and so, or this medium, this bodhisattva, this thing have come to them. That's why, if you want to know them, you must ask, where do you come from? Ask them those questions, where do you come from? They tell you certain place, where is it? And trace their, place. And if they get angry, then you ask them, you really bodhisattva? You really have compassion for me? Because very often mediums are mediums, understand? There can be, but there are many who project. Sometimes they are very sincere, but they do not realize the minds are conditioned by that. So that is why sometimes Mara can also appear in the form of the Buddha. And he has appeared too in some occasions. So that is why even those people who practice mediums, when they get into trance, there are those people who know, will challenge them and to find out whether they are truly representative, they are truly messengers of, who the big boss is. They will ask them certain questions and certain code words, then they know that they are. Because there can be false ones, those in disguise. There are this kind of beings too. Don't think they are all the devas are, Some are very jealous ones too. And some are very mischievous ones too. The spirit, this is what you call spirit, believes and communicating with spirits. They are one kind of shamanistic practice. The pure shamanism does not deal with these kinds of spirits beings. The pure shamanism actually makes use of just the pure energy. The pure shamanism actually makes use of just the pure energy, the energy that they have the ability to tap energy from nature and are able to resonate in resonance, and thereby they can communicate with people, they can heal people. In very many ways they can do. This is another kind of shamanism, pure shamanism. Buddhist practices tend to come closer to the pure shamanism. Those who determine to help others, they get into certain state of mind, certain jhana state, and then their mind they condition their mind to be with nature. And that's how they can move with the wind, they can move, go under the earth, they can move there, because they know how to tune their mind to the right frequency of those elements. Yes. So, now you know the Buddha image. If you want to clean them, if you want to do, you can do it. But, as we said, just in case, if you have been worshipping that for a long time, do it respectfully. Have no fear. You do it respectfully. You don't have to have any fear or any superstitious in your mind, no. It's good to have some place in the home, where you can, morning and night, you can spend some moments of quietness, of solitude. Because you know the traditional practices, how it influences our life, day-to-day life. It's very important to realize this, because many people are giving up this kind. They say, there's no meaning to these things. Even those people who pray to those idols, there's still some meaning to that. Why? During the day, what happens when they get to office and work? Or if they don't work on holidays with their children and their wife, they have all kinds of arguments, problems, worries, anxiety, and then they cannot sleep. If you try to go to sleep with these thoughts, anxieties, fears in your mind, you cannot sleep. The thoughts will keep on arising. So the traditional practice is, before you go to sleep, in the evening, you go to the shrine, you go to the altar, and you offer something. Traditional Chinese practice will offer tea, right? Or you light incense or candle, and then after that, even to those more devotional, at the devotional level, not so intellectual. So they take the image as real. So they start to talk to the image, right? At least they can talk to somebody, they have some confidence with somebody. Because nowadays it's very difficult for people to have faith even with their own parents, husband and wife also, because there are not so many faithful people around. When they go and tell them, sometimes they go tell the wife go and tell the sister and brothers tomorrow, and everybody know what is happening to them, and they get very upset. So, when they talk to the Buddha or they talk to some image, they don't report to others, so they feel safe. But by telling their problems, they can find some relief. Why? By rehearsing in their mind that this is the problems that I have. As they rehearse in their mind, they contemplate this problem, they can realize the cause of the problem. They begin to see what are the causes. Right? Then they can take steps to overcome it. Their minds become calm. They can sleep peacefully. If cannot, they use some other means. What? Because the image cannot talk to them. So they invented certain means. You know how they invent? Yes. Halfway. You know? They take the two sticks, okay. Please answer me, yes or no. And if it is no, because they don't like the answer no, they want it to be yes, they try again. Until it becomes, by the law of combination and permutation, if you do it many times, you will get it. And so, I have seen these things, because when I was young, I used to go to the temple too. We bring food to the temple, and fruits and other things. And then after that, we wait for a little while. And then Mother will say, now we can take. Mother will go and I say, how do you know? And he says, Buddha finished eating already. I say, how do you know? He says, I asked already. Did he say? Yes. And then he says, you don't believe, you go tapere, If one open, one close, it's okay, happy already, approved. If both close, it says angry. They say, not yet, not finished yet. No good, like that. Both open, it means what? Laughing at you. You say, try again. Now, this also, while we laugh at this practice, this has also got to do with the mind. Something to do with behind this practice, behind the Chamsi. It is not a pure Buddhist practice, understand. It is influenced by Tao, by I Ching. And that has got something, it's not so easy to explain, but it has some very scientific, that the law of is also the mind, functions of the mind. And so when we depend, why sometimes monks, sometimes some, Buddhists will say that, these things are all non-Buddhist, un-Buddhistic practices. It is because that Buddhism does not encourage this kind of dependency. When you depend on these practices more and more, then your mind will become weaker and weaker. Because you don't take the trouble to change your lifestyle. You don't take the trouble to find out what is the cause of the problem. When something happened to you, straight you go to the, and you ask. Depend. And this thing can be yes or no, but many of our problems not so clear-cut, yes or no. We have to decide certain things. Okay? So, your success in using that kind of method will depend on your ability to pose the right question, to frame the right question, you see. And by the time you have the right question, you would have already got the answers for yourself. So, there are these are the other practices of worshipping, and how it influences our life. You see how it can reduce the tension, stress and strain, takes away. And then you can sleep peacefully. Then when you get up in the morning. Sometimes your mind still, before you go to office, maybe you don't have very good breakfast. You get up late, you are in bad mood with your wife and children. Then calm down your mind. Free your mind before you go to the office, so that you don't pass the bucket to your colleagues and your subordinates. This is what people are doing. When they're very stressful in the office, when they come back, because in the office they cannot blame anyone, so when they go back, they pass the bucket to their wives and their children. Poor wife and children have to bear the grunt. They blame them and they get angry and irritable with them. They have done nothing wrong. You see? Because the mind is tense, agitated. We must know how to free the mind. So that is how these traditional practices, before you go to work, coming back from work, early morning after you get up and before you go to sleep, these practices helps you to free your mind and to have more calmness. And what do you practice? How do you pray? The traditional prayer in Chinese, my grandmother teach me first, says, you should first, I remember what she says, and I was young. Before I even seen any monks before. I've not seen any monk before. So my grandmother told me, you pray. Because we have different deities. And this one carried on more than 100 years, he says. We have the Kwanti, Kwanti Kong, and Chu Chong, Lopi, Kuan Yin, and I think 6 of them. Cannot remember. And have to call their names also every day. It's only after I started to know about Buddhism, there was no place to accommodate the Buddha. So I took a picture of the Buddha and put on the top. And then I tell my grandmother. My grandmother says, no, Buddha is different from here. I say, yes, Buddha is the teacher of them all. Why? Because Kwanti took refuge under the Buddha. Did you know that? Yes. That's how the that's how the Chinese converted. Buddhists know how to convert the people, to get converts. Not by converting people, but by converting the deities. The deities whom people pray to, they know how to convert these deities. Of course, people always tell stories, and stories are written and rewritten by different people, you see. So there are stories of how Kwanti took refuge in the Buddha. And when many of the Chinese heard that Kwanti take refuge in the Buddha, then they also take refuge in the Buddha. You see? Many such deities, even in the Middle East, they also have become Buddhists. That is why during, the medieval times, there were Buddhists all around that area, around the Silk Road. As far as in Britain, Buddhism went there. There were monks in England even before Julius Caesar went there. Julius Caesar had recorded about Buddhist monks there in England. Buddhism had spread far and wide. Right. So the image of the Buddha, something for us to focus our mind. And why are there so many images? You find that in some Chinese temple there are so many images. You find that this Buddha, here we have only one Buddha, right? But you find in some Thai temples they have more than one. You see? They have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday Buddha. 7 Buddhas. Huh? This one Monday on. So you have to pray the 7 if you want to have good luck on 7 days. Now this is actually introduced again for people's mind at certain level. Certain level. It is not true that there is such thing as Monday Buddha and Tuesday Buddha. Buddha is Buddha. When you really practice the Dhamma, what is the Buddha? Tell me. What is the meaning of the word Buddha? The word Buddha signifies, there are 3 things, 3 important things in this word Buddha. The word Buddha is to know. It comes from the Sanskrit root Bud, B-U-D-H. It is to know. To be in a state of knowing, awareness. You have clear comprehension, understanding. You are aware, and you are in a state of blissful contentment. When you think of the Buddha, there is the external form, there is the internal one. You understand? That's what people talk about the Buddha nature. It is the nature for us to know one. And it is also the nature of us to want to get out of suffering, to free our mind from suffering. Just as the Buddha is freed from all suffering. We all want to free ourselves from suffering, but many do not know how to go about it. Why? When you get, after you have eaten your food, you are happy, right? And after that, you become very bored. Huh? No more good food to eat. You feel very bored. How to get rid of that boredom? That boredom is an unsatisfactory state of mind. And how do you want to get rid of that boredom? Turn on television programs. Now you feed your eyes. Having fed your mouth, you feed your eyes. Look, after you have seen a little bit, your eyes feel tired. Or you get bored also. Now your mind wants to get rid of that boredom. How do you get rid of that boredom? Go to the telephone and chit-chat. Go and call somebody and talk and these things. Right? And even that you get bored, then what do? You go and sleep. And then you start dreaming. You see. So these are the ways by which the untrained mind, the worldly mind, try to overcome suffering. But that mind cannot see the happiness apart from worldly kind of happiness. That's what you call the sensual pleasure, sensual or worldly happiness. Always jumping from one kind of worldly happiness to another worldly happiness to another worldly happiness. If you get it, happy. If you don't get it, not happy, angry, upset. Right or not? But the Buddha had said, there is another kind of happiness that does not depend on material things. That's what they call the spiritual happiness. To those people who are so addicted to happiness, the Buddha says, Nibbānang paramam sukham. Nibbana is the highest happiness. But those people who realize the Dhamma, when you practice and you come closer to Nibbana, then you realize there's another saying that the Buddha says, Nibbānang paramang sunyam. That is, Nibbāna is the highest emptiness. But not many people like emptiness. Not many people can visualize and can understand emptiness. So they want happiness. So we be contented with that saying, Nibbānam paramang sukham. But when you practice, as you begin to practice, your mind will be emptied. Your mind will be emptied of what? When we say empty, it must be empty of something. Emptied of greed, of hatred, of delusion. Then, when that mind is truly emptied of greed, hatred and delusion, that's true emptiness. Nibbāna is the highest form of emptiness. And that highest form of emptiness is the highest happiness. This is something that worldly mind may not be able to grasp it. Because often people think of happiness only when they get thrilled, they can get some excitement. It's only when after they sing that what? Karaoke, is that right? Then only they are happy. That's how now the modern generation, this generation, when you talk about happiness, they will try to equate the kind of happiness that they get, the kind of thrill that they get from that kind of party. I'm just using this word because only yesterday I learned to pronounce this word, karaoke. I have seen these words around, but I do not know what it is all about. And when I was in Johor Bahru last night, I asked them, what is this? Oh, then they explained to me. See? Ah, that's right, karaoke. It says, okay, but after that, not okay. They sing, they have the video set and the song, the lyrics appear there and they start singing on that. All right. Okay, I think now we have answered. Have I answered your question? Now, you see, this is something. Don't be afraid to ask questions. The Buddha and all enlightened masters have given answers to us, have given us the answers of life. What is the nature of life? How to overcome suffering? The answers are all laid out there. As Chief Reverend has written so many books, they are all answers to our life. What have you got to do? In order to realize these answers to life, what have you got to do? What? Read the book. How do you practice? How do you come to that understanding? Because you don't want to do it. When I ask you any question, no question. By questioning, by having the right question, you will arrive at the right answer. You see, the Buddha has given us all the answers, but how is it that we are still suffering? We tell you the Four Noble Truths, we tell you all the Noble Eightfold Path, how to overcome suffering, and you know it. But how is it you still suffer? You still get angry and you still have various kinds of anxiety and worries in your mind. Because you have not questioned yourself. Try to do these things. I have found it very useful. In moments of quietness, when you calm down your mind, when your mind is calm and quiet, then you begin to see your mind clearer. You can see your thoughts clearer. When you see there are many thoughts, many ideas coming to your mind, then ask yourself, why? When you begin to ask yourself why, the Dhamma that you have learned will naturally flow out. When you begin to see it is due to your clinging, your craving, your attachment, craving for wanting to go here and there. You want to become somebody. You want to go here, you want to go there, everywhere. You want to do so many things. This is what you call craving. From this craving arises all the thoughts and ideas and plans that you have in your mind. If you want to free your mind, when you sit down quietly, just tell yourself, I'm nobody. I'm nobody. I want nothing. I want to go nowhere. Just be in the present. Tell your mind. Announce this to your mind loud and clear. Give them advance notice. Don't think that you are somebody. If you think that you are somebody, then you start interpreting, oh, now, I am now just as good as she is now. My concentration is now better than most people like that. Then you hinder your own progress. I'm nobody. I want to go nowhere. So when the thoughts come to you, wanting to go to this place, that place, that place, I told you, I want to go nowhere. Tell your mind. And then your mind will drop off that idea for a little while. And that's how. These are some means by which some teachers help the aspirants, the followers, to keep the mind in the present, to live in the present, for this is the real secret to real happiness. If you want to be happy all the time, keep your mind in the present. Don't allow it to live in the past, not to live in the future. I think with this, it is enough. And Chief Reverend, maybe we will invite Chief Reverend to speak a few words, because a few words is okay. Because when Chief Reverend comes back, Chief Reverend will be heavier by I do not know how many pounds. It's not the weight, but his name also will be difficult to write for you, difficult for you to pronounce. Because it is really through his selfless service here that those people in Sri Lanka, the monks in Sri Lanka and many devotees in Sri Lanka, after how many years you have heard the problems, the kind of unrest that they have had over the last years. Now they're just beginning to see some moments of calm and quietness. Now, in order to give a kind of encouragement to the people, to the monks, especially to the young monks, to many of the young monks, who indeed, because at a time when the country is disturbed, even practice, monasteries, the morale of the people become very low. Understand? Now, recognizing the many qualities, the good qualities, the success of Chief Reverend's missionary work, activities in this part of the world, and how through publication and has spread to other parts of the world. Now the monks have invited Chief Reverend to Sri Lanka. Chief Reverend is one who is not the kind of monk to want every time to take things to Sri Lanka. No. 12 years he has not gone to Sri Lanka. And this time when they go there, they have invited him and they wish to confer on him They will be conferring on him the highest degree. Many of you have to slog and for your examination. That's why. If you become a monk, you don't have to study so hard, Chief Reverend don't have to study for examinations. He got how many degrees already? The various universities want to give him degree. He doesn't want also. But this time he cannot escape because he was there. He encouraged this university to start the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka. This time they wish to confer on him Doctor of Literature, D.Litt. Very often Chief Reverend talk about BA, MA, PhD and D.Litt. Now he got the D.Litt. Then, not only that, Chief Reverend, many monks, you must have seen during this period, the period of unrest, how many Sri Lankan monks have come here, right? Visiting here. And Chief Reverend openly allow them to come and stay. And when these monks had gone back, the word spread. The word says, oh, you know, how the people, the big fields, the Buddhist Vihara there, how people are interested to practice and these buildings coming up like this. So these words have spread. And the monks, they have seen how Chief Reverend has played an important role in allowing these monks to come to see, and what they see, sometimes they cannot speak the language, but by seeing, by hearing, they get the inspiration to study and to preach. And in Singapore, many of the Sri Lankan monks, quite a number of them, they are doing work in the Singapore Buddhist Mission and a few other places. They also were from the Paramadhamma Buddhist Institute in Sri Lanka, which Chief Reverend had helped to establish that in Sri Lanka in 1977. And so with this, another group of monks have invited, and this time to promote Chief Reverend, not only to become the chief of monks in the Malaysia, but also Singapore too. Increase his title. That's why after that, when Chief Reverend come back, it will be very heavy. But I do not think so, It is actually out of compassion, really, to go there at this particular time where there is a need to boost up the morale of the Buddhist community, not only of the monks, not only of the Sangha, but also the lay people. And so with this, I think we all rejoice. I'm happy that I have the occasion to accompany again. The last time, the first time when I accompanied Chief Reverend soon after my ordination, I did not have a dream that I'll be going to Sri Lanka so soon. About 6 months after my ordination, soon after my high ordination, Chief Reverend says, "You want to go to Sri Lanka?" I says, "Oh, yes." And that's how. And we had a party, I think a delegation. And my parents, my father was alive at that time, my mother, and my brother-in-law and sister also came. And that trip actually opened the eyes of my parents and my sister and brother-in-law. And when they came back, they changed. They started to receive monks very cordially. Wherever they know there are some monks, they like to give dana. They become more closer to monks like that. After seeing the culture, seeing the tradition there, and appreciating that kind of culture and tradition. So this time, and the Chief Reverend does not announce it, But somehow words have spread. I did mention a little bit, and so a few people have come. I think maybe about 9 or 10 people are coming to, a small delegation, and this will comprise of our past president of the Buddhist Missionary Society, Mr. Tian Chu, is coming, and from the line of Jayawardana, who was very active with the Sasana Abhivardivada Society, and from our ex-novices also, few, not ex-upasikas, and a few other people who have intended to come to join. So, on this occasion, maybe we invite Chief Reverend to speak a few words because he will be taking leave for 2 weeks. And so now I become the mouthpiece of. Right. And that's what the Buddha said. I have mentioned this before. Buddha said, when the Buddha passed away, the Buddha says, when I am no more, my teachings will be your master. The highest way that we can respect our teacher, how can we respect our teacher, is to try to carry on, either to follow and to practice his teachings and to carry on the good work. So during the 2 weeks that Chief Reverend will be away, he'll be coming back on the 15th, and please carry on and come, and there will be other speakers around, and get together, and we hope that you all will cooperate with the other monks, other resident monks here, and give your support. And this is the highest way by which one can show one's appreciation and gratitude to our teacher. Okay? Right. With this, I think we will close now and wish you all well and happy. And you can, yes, this one we will invite Chief Reverend to share because he has a lot of merits, much more merits that he has done for the last 40 years. So please, all of you who have, on this occasion, you can rejoice in your goodness that you have done now, and also think of all the goodness that you have done, and share this merit with all beings, all devas and all celestial beings. Please stand up and follow me. Imina punya kammena upadhyaya guruttara acari upakaraca Mata Pita Piya Mamang Suryo Chandi Maharaja Gunavanta Narapicha Brahma Maharaja Indacha Lokapalacha Devata Yamo Mitta Manusacha Madhyata Verika Picha Sabbe Satta Sukhiyantu පුඤ්ඤානි පකතානි මේ සුඛං ච තිවිදං දෙන්තු කිප්පං පාපේත ඕමතං ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන ඉමිනා උද්දිසේන ච කිප්පං සුලභේ චේව තණ්හෝපාදාන චේදනං යේ සන්තානේහි නා ධම්මා යාව නිබ්බානතෝ මමං නස්සන්තු සබ්බදායේව යත් ජාතෝ භවේ භවේ උජ්ජුචිත්තෝ සතිපඤ්ඤෝ සල්ලේකෝ විරියවාමිනා මාරා ලබන්තු නෝකාසං කාතුංච විරියේසු මේ ඥාදිපකරෝ නාථෝ සංඝෝ නාථෝ අරුත්තමෝ නාථෝ පච්චේක සම්බුද්ධෝ සංඝෝ නාථෝත්තරෝ මමං තේසෝත්තමානුභාවේන මාරෝකාසං ලභන්තු මා